Ladies and gentlemen, this video is actually done today because I have the internet. Psalms 103 says, verse 19, "The Lord has prepared his throne in the heavens, and the kingdom that he rules over. Blessed be the Lord, and his angels or messengers, that excel in strength and do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. Blessed be the Lord and all his hosts, you ministers or servants of his, that do his pleasure. Bless the Lord, all his works, in all places of his dominion. Bless the Lord, O my soul." When we talk about the Lord's throne is in heaven, where do you think heaven is? Heaven's not everywhere. It can be in your heart. It can be in your mind. But that's a choice you have to make. And all the messengers of God, the angels of God, that you could be one of them. In fact, here it also says that you have his ministers, and a minister is simply a servant. And so you can also be a minister. You can be a servant. All right? So when God is in your heart, you can give service. You can be a messenger for God as well. Speak his words to people who need it. All right? It's that simple. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today, which has to do with choice, decision making. Maybe is a word that indicates something can happen this way or that way, etc., etc. It involves choice. And all of us are responsible for our lives as we got old enough to make decisions and choices to govern our lives. And in this case, in the DCEU, we see may be used in many different contexts. Take, for instance, in Man of Steel, where Clark Kent, he asks his father, he says, "What am I supposed to do? Just let them die?" And his father says, Jonathan Kent says, "Maybe." It doesn't mean he's telling him they should die. No. He's saying, that's up to you, the choice you make. But just understand the gravity of the situation. If your identity is fully revealed to the world, how they would respond. And so, no time do I know Jonathan Kent or Martha Kent to try to force, and this is very important, force Clark to do anything. Now, when Jonathan told Clark, "No, don't save me," he didn't force Clark to do that because he had given him rational and reasoning. It was up to Clark to choose if he was going to save him or not. Clark could have gone into the tornado and saved his father. But that was a choice he had to make. And he decided to honor his father's request to keep his identity a secret. Well, look at Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Lex Luthor says this: "Maybe Dad will come back if I keep everything the same." That is silly. The magical thinking of orphan boys. He was talking about how he kept everything just the same in the room, hoping that his father would return. Now, maybe indicates that he thinks his father could or may not come back. But the interesting thing about it is that he quickly concludes that thinking by giving a definitive choice on the matter. That is silly. When we look at Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn says to Amanda Waller, "Are you the devil?" And Amanda Waller says, "Maybe." And that will depend on how Harley Quinn behaves. If Harley Quinn behaves in a manner that Amanda Waller approves of, she wouldn't be the devil. But if, of course, Harley Quinn does not, she would be. Again, this is dependent on choice. And when you look at Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor says, "We're all to blame." Diana says, "I'm not, but maybe I am." Steve Trevor says, "Maybe I am," indicating that he's not saying definitively, "I am to blame for this war and what's happening," but he's saying, "Maybe Diana," which indicates I may be or I may not be. I am. He's taking ownership of the fact that he's a human being as well, and that he takes ownership, if there is to be ownership on what may have been done that's wrong. He takes ownership on it as a human. And I find that very interesting. His choice is to say, whether I am or I'm not, I'm taking ownership of this. With the case of Diana and Bruce and the rest of the Justice League dealing with this critical moment where they wanted to resurrect Superman in Justice League, we see Arthur Curry step up and say, "You lose something when you die, even Superman. Maybe not his mind, maybe his soul." Again, maybe here saying that there needs to be, you need to take precautions on this. They were deliberating and making a choice as to whether Superman would be brought back or if Superman would not be brought back. And even if he is being brought back, we should consider and have a contingency in place for that. Would we have the contingency or not? I thought that was really, again, showing this time collective decision making in the process. And of course, Batman says, I'll have a contingency plan for that. Always, choice is an interesting thing. When we look at Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, we see that Superman pushed Batman away. I mean, he did not try to... Superman could have just snapped Batman in half, okay? He picked up the suit and he literally had his fingerprints imprinted on that suit. That's how strong Superman is. And it's interesting seeing Diana do very much the same thing. She pushes Bruce off. Both times Bruce encroached on the superhero's space. In terms of Diana, Bruce covered a topic or area that was none of his business, which had to do with Steve Trevor. And with Superman, Bruce basically walks right up in Superman's face and starts talking in his face. So Superman just pushes him off just to let him know, hey, don't just ride up in my face like that. There it is.
Steve Trevor, tell you that?
Just so you know, Superman is very, very powerful. Both in Justice League and in Batman v Superman, we see Superman, if you don't have kryptonite around, you're going to have a hard time, okay? He just ragdolls Batman as if Batman is nothing to him, okay? And so I'm just saying. And when we look at the Kryptonian weaponry, we see that we have, in Man of Steel, these different Kryptonian weapons. I want to just point out certain things to you about these weapons. So you have the 193 caliber magazine weapon, high assault rifle, I guess. This is the Kryptonian rifle you see here, which is this, as well as you see it right here. It's double barreled. And then we also have the Kryptonian 184 caliber pistol. And that's it there. You can see it from above and then the front. And here it is from the side. It's a pretty big firearm. And then we have this other caliber pistol, which we see up above here, firing, which is right here. So these are the three Kryptonian weapons we see there. Okay, you have a Kryptonian carbine, which would be this one. This would be like the rifle. And then you have the pistols. Now, what's interesting about that is when you look at Krypton, the movie, the television series Krypton, we have similar weapons. We have three of them as well. This one is the rifle, high power action rifle. Then you have this one, which would have been the pistol, and this one again, which is the smaller hand pistol. Now let's look at them all together here. So if you look at this one here, it resembles this high action rifle, which is called a carbine. Really, it's quite similar. It just doesn't have the magazine right here. It's a double. All right. And then you have the pistol, which is this one here. It's much bigger than this one. And then you have this one, which is another pistol, but it actually looks more like a rifle. So if we look at this same rifle here without its magazine in it, it pretty much resembles this one somewhat. Somewhat does. Okay? And then here it is with the magazine, and you got a bigger one. And if you look at this, with the concept art for Man of Steel, you see that this kind of looks similar to, say, this weapon or this weapon. They kind of look similar, which tells me they probably borrowed the design from Man of Steel's concept art, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we have here in Krypton, we saw the ice goddess of Krypton. All right, and in Krypton, the television series, she called herself the Mother of Krypton. And if you go to the comic, The Last God of Krypton, this ice goddess is known as Synthona. Synthona. She lives underground because she was defeated by Rao after trying to deceive him, and she was displaced to the underworld of Krypton. That's basically where we saw Synthona. She's actually considered an evil goddess. And in the end, Krypton was destroyed. As you know, Krypton got destroyed. It's going to be interesting watching the series of Krypton with General Zod coming back. Krypton was destroyed, and when Krypton was destroyed, she was freed. And when she was freed, she came, kind of like the General Zod story, actually. She was freed. She was able to move around. And because she was able to move around, she actually confronted Superman at a later time. What she really wanted to do was she wanted to mate with Rao, the sun god of Krypton, and from there create monsters. Now in Krypton, I saw another parallel between Krypton and the DCEU. In Krypton, Dinah says, "You've always been my greatest love and now my greatest shame," to Lyta Zod. After she had did a sacrifice to get Lyta there, she had dishonored herself. And in so doing, Wonder Woman, we see the similar comments where Hippolyta says to Diana, "You have been my greatest love, today you are my greatest sorrow." This is when Diana is about to leave the island, and Hippolyta was trying to keep her from leaving. And I just wanted to show you a couple other things concerning Krypton. So let me do that right now. So this will sharpen up. There you go. Alright, so we saw the weaponry already, but I wanted to just show you something else. So if you look at Krypton here, you will see that Earth's yellow sun is much smaller but hotter. Okay, whereas Rao, which is Krypton's red sun, that's where they worship the sun, basically, Rao. Rao was much bigger but not as hot, 5 times larger than Earth's sun. And you look at the age, it's twice as old, and it's the age of Earth's planet and the population 7.1 billion, whereas with Krypton, it was 8.7 billion years, but its population was almost 1/7 that of Earth. You know, it had 4 moons. And the interesting thing about Krypton is half of the world of Krypton is under sort of almost heat and sun and fire, and the other half is very cold, very, very cold. So I just thought I would share that with you guys about Krypton and the Earth and the similarities and the differences. Krypton is actually colder than Earth, which is very interesting. At least one side of it, one facet of it. And here are some of the transport stuff, and this is all from, of course, Man of Steel. You can see the transport mobiles here. So you have the Krypton Spaceship 2, you have the Krypton Spacecraft 1, you have the Scout Craft, and then you have the Black Zero Craft. And it's interesting, remember the freedom fighting group called Black Zero, and so Black Zero kind of comes back again, and I thought it was very interesting David Goyer would go there with that.